What happens when a humble cowboy buys a ranch that everyone else has abandoned? In the wild Wyoming frontier of the 1870s, Elias Turner believed hard work could turn ruins into a future. But everything changes when the beautiful daughter of a millionaire rancher rides through his gate and discovers a man with courage, honesty, and a dream bigger than his empty pockets. Will she return to her wealthy life or choose the cowboy who has nothing but determination? Stay with us for this unforgettable Old West story of love, pride, and second chances. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more timeless frontier tales. And now, let's get started. In the autumn of 1872, the Wyoming plains stretched wide beneath a pale golden sky. A humble cowboy named Elias Turner rode slowly along a dusty trail, leading a tired mule loaded with tools, blankets, and the few belongings he possessed. After years of working cattle for other men, he had finally saved enough silver dollars to purchase an abandoned ranch near the foothills of the Bighorn Mountains. Most folks laughed when they heard of the sale. The ranch had stood empty for nearly a decade. Its fences leaned like drunken men, the barn roof sagged under years of snow, and the windmill had long since ceased turning. The previous owner had lost his fortune and vanished eastward, leaving behind little more than weathered timber and broken dreams. Yet when Elias rode through the gate for the first time, he saw something different. He saw fertile pasture, a clear creek running through the property, and enough land to build a future with his own hands. One chilly evening, while Elias was standing atop a ladder fixing the broken windmill, he heard the sound of approaching hooves. A fine chestnut mare entered the yard car, a young woman dressed in a dark riding coat trimmed with silver buttons. Her posture was straight, and her gloves were too elegant for ranch work. "Good evening," she called. "I am Eleanor Whitmore. My father owns the Whitmore Ranch in Montana. We were told this place was deserted." Elias climbed down from the ladder and removed his hat. "It was, ma'am, but I bought it last month." Eleanor looked around in surprise. Fresh fence posts stood along the pasture, smoke rose from the chimney, and the windmill blades had been repaired enough to turn slowly in the evening breeze. "You've done all this alone?" she asked. "A man can accomplish a fair amount when he's got nowhere else to go," Elias replied with a modest smile. A cold wind swept across the yard. Seeing the gathering clouds, Elias offered her coffee by the fire before she continued her journey. Eleanor accepted, never imagining that the lonely ranch she had come to inspect would soon change the course of both their lives. Before Eleanor could leave the next morning, a violent storm rolled down from the mountains. Rain lashed the plains, and the creek beside the ranch swelled into a rushing river that made the crossing impossible. With no safe road back to Montana, she had little choice but to remain until the weather cleared. During the following days, Eleanor saw a side of frontier life she had never known. Elias rose before dawn to feed the horses, carried water from the creek when the windmill froze, and spent hours repairing the barn despite the biting wind. He never complained, even when his hands bled from handling rough timber. One evening they sat beside the fire while rain drummed against the cabin roof. "Why buy a place everyone else abandoned?" Eleanor asked. Elias stirred the coffee pot slowly. "Because no one expected anything from it," he said. "A rich man's ranch is judged by how much he owns. This place will be judged by how much work I'm willing to give it." Eleanor studied him quietly. She had met wealthy ranchers, businessmen, and politicians, yet none spoke with the same honest certainty. 3 days later, the storm passed, and the creek finally dropped enough for wagons to cross. That afternoon, a large carriage arrived in a cloud of dust. Out stepped Charles Whitmore, Eleanor's father, accompanied by several ranch hands. He glanced around the property with obvious disappointment. "So this is the place that delayed you," he said. "I had planned to buy these surrounding acres, but I see no value here." Then his eyes settled on Elias. "Young man," Whitmore said, "I'll give you twice what you paid for this ranch. Take the money and find better land." Elias removed his hat respectfully. "I appreciate the offer, sir, but this ranch isn't for sale." Whitmore laughed. "You'd refuse a fortune for a pile of rotting boards?" Elias looked across the pasture where the repaired windmill turned steadily in the breeze. "It was abandoned when I bought it," he answered. "Now it's the beginning of my future." To Whitmore's astonishment, Eleanor stepped beside the cowboy. "And I believe he's right, Father," she said softly. Months later, when spring returned to the Wyoming plains, Eleanor chose to marry Elias Turner. Together, they rebuilt the ranch completely, and by the year 1880, the once-forgotten property had become one of the finest cattle spreads in the American West.